this is why Jimi Hendrix is so important, because he didn't lose sight of the root. We're still connected with the root. So when I hit a string, even though it's just wood, a pickup, and a string, when I hit that string, because I love the blues and I live the blues, I can make his hair stand up. Today is so much mental that for a while you're impressed. Man, it's really fast. But it doesn't go inside. Otis Rush, Buddy Guy, these were Jimi Hendrix teachers and Muddy Waters. And unless this magazine puts, Muddy Waters or T-Bone Walker, then this magazine is like a child without a father, a bastard. Because Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, they're not bastards. They quote their grandfathers and their parents, which was B.B. King or Otis Rush. These people listen to each other. Also, in the 60s, we didn't have tape recorders too much. So you go home and you practice, maybe listen to a couple of records, but you get your own sound, your fingerprints. Today, there's no fingerprints. They all sound the same. You know what I'm saying? When you hear one note by Jimi Hendrix, you know it's Jimi Hendrix. Today, you hear 3 notes, and you don't know whether it's Stevie Vai or Joe Satriani or a lot of guys. You can't tell anymore. So they have to work on the most important thing, your individuality. Because you're nothing unless you have an individuality first.
I said to, for the younger kids who listen to a Steve Vai, it kind of stops right there. Whereas back in our day, if we liked Clapton, we would try to listen to Robert Johnson or Elmore James or whoever. So we would kind of dig back, but maybe the younger kids are
they're more, yeah, they're swimming on a swimming pool. We were swimming in the ocean.
So Kaya saw it turns off the younger players is the high prices of the instruments from the 50s or 60s. They look at stuff priced in $1,000 or whatever, or $800, and they say, well, screw it. I don't need that stuff anyway. So it's out of reach for them.
That's a poor excuse, because a good musician can grab a new guitar, an old guitar, and you can still see your face. With me, or Clapton, or Jeff Beck, or Jimmy Page, it doesn't matter whether you play Fender, Yamaha, or Gibson, or Paul Reed Smith. If we hit one note, you know who it is. With the young people, where they play old guitars and new guitars, you still don't know who they are when you hear them. So that's a poor excuse.
Yeah. Well, the guitars that we think of as vintage guitars now were new when you started. So, I guess you had somewhat of an advantage though, because you had really the quality stuff available at new prices back in the time.
It's not the guitar, it's the attitude. It's not the guitar, it's like that camera. If you have a brand new camera or an old camera, it doesn't matter. It's who's behind the camera taking a picture of something beautiful. I'm a photographer too. I take a picture of, and this is very real to me. I deal with the inner world. Jimi Hendrix, like Beethoven, there's a radio in here, and we bring it down through music. Today's people, they don't listen to this radio. They listen to each other, and they just practice scales up and down. But we take a picture of a ghost, and the ghost doesn't like to pose. So when you go to the studio, you have to catch your first take. My guitar is just like a camera. It takes a picture of a composition. Let me give you like a good example. They found music by Beethoven, and Beethoven didn't go da 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 first take. Beethoven went da 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 da, and they found the papers written, and then later on he went da 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 and then he wrote it down. So it's the same thing with Jimi Hendrix and myself. We're taking pictures of our inner world. Einstein, the most brilliant mind in this century, said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Today's kids play knowledge. They don't play imagination as much.
Like a lot of the bands who have lengthy histories, your band has gone through numerous changes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you, why is that it happens so frequently?
Because I'm hungry for music, and the Grateful Dead, the Rolling Stones, they can make a living out of the past. Not so much the Grateful Dead, more like the Who and the Rolling Stones. They have to come together, even though they don't like each other. Sometimes they fly in different planes like Cream used to do. So they only get together to make a buck. For me, I don't play music to make a dollar. I don't have loyalty to other people just to make a living. I have a loyalty to the sound that wants to come out, and if you can help me, then I'm going to go with you, and I will turn my back to the other people who I grew up with. In other words, it's not convenience. Some people stay for convenience because they can't play with anybody else. I learned from John McLaughlin, T-Bone Walker, Miles Davis, Wayne Shorter, Chuck Berry. I like blues, rock, and everything. And a lot of musicians who come and play with me, they only have a PhD on one thing. And I cannot play with those musicians. I need people who don't have a PhD, but they're students and they have a openness. And if I say, listen, I want to play 4 bars of Bob Marley and 18 bars of Jimi Hendrix and 4 bars of Charlie Christian, then that musician has to be more flexible. So I'm always looking for flexible people rather than just a PhD on heavy metal.
Yeah. Well, but you find flexible players, but they end up dropping out, or you get rid of them. Why do you part ways after a while?
Because sometimes they want to do their own thing, or sometimes they cannot keep up, with the things that I want to do, and it's a blessing and it's a curse, but I cannot play just, with musicians for convenience like the Rolling Stones. There's no love in there. It's just like a marketing thing, It's like McDonald's,
One might assume, though, if you were to play with the same person for a long time, you develop sort of a oneness with that person. It might be easier to play the music with. I mean, there's not the freshness, obviously not the freshness of playing with new people, but if you play with somebody for a long time, there's a bond. That's not the case.
It works for some people. For some people, it doesn't, you can get Mr. Universe and Miss Universe, and they don't always have to go to bed together, It all depends. For me, if I play with Wayne Shorter, or I play musicians who play with Bob Marley, I don't need to live with them for 10 years to make the music sound like we've been together 100 years.
I see, yeah. So what do you think of this, there's a sort of popularity of what they call world music, or world beat, or ethnic music, or whatever. How do you look at that?
This is the future.
I think so. Like
This is the future.
Asian music, African music.
The future is Salif Keita, Mori Kanti, Ray Lema, Tora Kunda, Yushur Endur, Chet Caleb, Javan. It's African music. Everything that I hear is like a gum that's been chewed already. and it's losing its flavor, including rap. They quote their grandfathers and their parents, which was B.B. King or Otis Rush. These people listen to each other. Also, press, man, it's really fast, but it doesn't go inside. Otis Rush, Buddy Guy, these were Jimi Hendrix's teachers in Muddy Waters. And unless this magazine puts, this is why Jimi Hendrix is so important, because he didn't lose sight of the root. We're still connected with the root. So when I hit a string, even though it's just wood, a pickup, and a string, when I hit that string, because I love the blues and I live the blues, I can make his hair stand up. Today is so much mental that for a while you're in, Muddy Waters or T-Bone Walker, then this magazine is like a child without a father, a bastard. Because Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, they're not bastards.